So this morning I read in IsraeliNationalNews.com an article that by Guy Cohen, and the title is Pundit Predicts Devastating Consequences of Russia Sanctions. I will read. New sanctions against Russia passed by the House and Senate last week of the United States. Now, I'm quoting this. This is not coming from me. I'm just quoting this. Are the dumbest and most destructive act of economic self-harm since the United States delinked the dollar from gold in August 15, 1971. It will have devastating consequences, predicted renowned columnist David Goldman, a.k.a. Spengler, in his latest opinion piece. The sanction legislation allows the U.S. to impose heavy fines on European companies involved in energy infrastructure with Russia and threatens several major projects now in progress. Europe Commission Chief Klaus Juncker warned Thursday the U.S. could have unintended unilateral effects that may impact the EU's energy security interests. If our concerns are not taken into account sufficiently, we stand ready to act appropriately within a matter of days. Berlin, Paris, Rome will conspire with Moscow to circumvent the sanctions while attacking the United States at the World Trade Organization and other international fora, according to Goldman, who writes in the Asian Times. Russia has responded by expelling a large number of diplomats from the embassy in Moscow, but that is merely a symbolic gesture, Goldman explained. There are more disagreeable measures that Moscow could take, such as providing advanced weapons to Iran, giving close air support to Iranian-controlled militias in Syria, and increasing military cooperation with China. Now, Mr. Goldman forgets to add North Korea. I will continue reading. Under communism, the pundit added, Russia sought to compensate for its economic inefficiency by turning Europe into an economic colony, and the most dangerous operations of the Cold War were undertaken to prevent this. Now, for narrow political reasons, Trump's enemies propose to undo the whole structure of relationships that won the Cold War and drive Europe into the arms of the Russians and Chinese. The White House has been sending mixed signals on whether President Donald Trump intends to veto the bill, which also imposes new sanctions on Iran and North Korea. However, the wide margins by which the bill was passed in the Senate and House indicate any presidential veto would be overridden. Now, as I said before, things after the 77s of Daniel 9 were finished in the summer of 2016, and after Jerusalem's Jubilee was finished in June of 2017, of course we should see a major shift in the world. And the Bible actually alludes to some sort of alliance between Magog and those who dwell carelessly in the coastlands of the sea, of the Mediterranean Sea. It's in Ezekiel 39. So in the first few verses of Ezekiel 39, I will read the King James Version, starting verse 1. Therefore, you son of man, prophesy against Gog, and thus saith Jehovah Elohim, behold, I am against you, O Gog, Rosh, prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn you back and bring you forth, is what it should read. And I will cause you to come from the north parts, and I will bring you upon the mountains of Israel. I will smite your bow out of your left hand, and will cause your arrows to fall out of your right hand, and you shall fall upon the mountains of Israel. You and all your bands and all the people that are with you, I will give you unto the ravenous birds of every sort, and to the beasts of the field to be devoured. You shall fall upon the open field, for I have spoken it, saith Jehovah Elohim. And I will send a fire on Magog, and among them that dwell carelessly in the coastlands. And they shall know that I am Jehovah. The coastlands of what? The coastlands of the Mediterranean Sea. That's what. This great battle, the coastlands of the Mediterranean Sea are basically, the 10 toes and the 11th, the little horn. And this particular verse 6, it shows in a roundabout way that there is some sort of alliance between the Magog and Europe that comes at the time of the end. So, it is possible that these sanctions that Congress has enacted into law, and making sure that the president cannot veto it, it's going to happen regardless. I believe there's a purpose. There's a purpose to join Russia and Russia's allies with Europe, because they will all come against Israel. That's just a foregone conclusion. And so, to say that it's a dumb idea, one must remember that there is a higher power in charge here. And there might be a good reason for this, and it might be in Israel's best interest that this happens. Because if he destroys Israel's enemies in one fell swoop, Israel will become the great power. And Israel is going to become the world's lone superpower. That I know, that I can promise you. It's the truth. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you. Things can shift overnight.